Good afternoon. My name is Trevor Ramos, and we're going to do a little talk that will show you how to attend or send your kids to some of the most expensive colleges for a fraction of the cost. So I've kind of laid out for you how to do that. I'm going to give you some really interactive examples. I encourage you to ask questions. Um, I don't know the answer to every question available, but you ask that question and we'll find out the answer for you. But a lot of people think that really expensive colleges um, are just not available for them to attend. But the reality is that those colleges can come out the least expensive actually because they have the money to give people. One of the biggest problems that these colleges are having is they're finding that when you go to their website and you look up what it costs, that a lot of people, that's it for them. They might go to Pepperdine's webpage and they see how much it costs, and that's it. No more discussion. We're not applying to any colleges like that, and that could have very well been the least expensive option for you. So, and the reason is because these schools have endowments and they have donations and all kinds of things that allow them to give a discount to the students. So that's what we're going to talk about. Um, Obviously, there are practical things. I want to give you an overview so you can understand what we're trying to do. But I want to encourage your questions just so I can see where you're at. By show of hands, who is actually applying this year, like in the middle of going through the applications? Okay, so you guys are transferring. You'll probably start in the fall or the spring, correct? Okay, so who's going to turn in applications next year? Okay, so we got a couple of you guys. Okay, good. So let's do it. And I'll give you a little bit of background on me too. It's going to be important for you to understand the context. So, I had no idea what colleges I was going to get into, and I just applied to a bunch of schools that why not, just tried it. I didn't even actually know enough to know that the colleges that I was applying to were too expensive. I just turned in applications, and I didn't know if I was going to get in. And what happened is that the state colleges that I applied to came out to about 25 grand a year. I went to Van Nuys High School. And the private colleges that I went to came out to, the ones that I got accepted to, $5,000 or $6,000 a year. So I just got lucky and I ended up with the right example. But I've been doing this for 8 years. Doing talks and showing students and their families how to do this. So it's kind of very methodical that you can follow. If you feel encouraged to take pictures of my slides, you're more than welcome to. I think we're gonna send you some follow-up information. If we have your email, I'll give you a chance to give your email to me so I can send you some stuff. But yeah, well, if I'm just gonna give you an introduction of it, and it'll start to sink in over time, and you'll kind of understand how you could use this. All right. Oh yeah. So this workshop is brought to you. So how did I end up here? Well, I got a call from Anna Riz, and I got a call from Tashini, and from the counseling and advising office. And also, I also want to encourage you to use all the resources that are available to you. That's a big mistake. You want to use every office that is here to help you. So along with using the advising office and the counseling office, you want to make sure that you sit down with your financial aid advisors as well, because they're going to give you a much more customized. They know what your need is. They know what kind of financial aid is available to you and what grants are good for you. And you'll be able to supplement that with the information that you're learning here. Okay, so we already talked about what you're gonna learn, but this is just an example. These are some twins that are going to American and getting $300,000 between the two of them. This is what a really good offer looks like at George Washington University. And this is, if you're interested in politics, if you're interested in international relations, highly recommend it. As you can see, with a Pell Grant and with a supplemental grant, with a most of the money comes from the school, $47,000 grant, and some work study all of this is packaged to about $64,000, right? Or I think if you take out the work study and the two subsidized and unsubsidized loans, you come out to an award that's about $57,000. So could you imagine getting a $57,000 award to a private school, right? So that's an example. Okay, and different schools are different. This is the same student that got an offer from University of San Francisco, and again, the first two they're called scholarships, but they're really grants. They're based on the stuff I'm showing you. Okay, so obviously deadlines are important. That's the very first thing you have to do after you've identified the schools you're looking at, and for right now, you can pick private schools. Okay, you can pick private schools, you can pick public schools, but you want to have the list of the schools you're looking at and then know the deadlines. So obviously with the UCs, the 30th, you end of this month, with the Cal States as well. Private schools can vary, and it also depends on what semester you're going to start. You're going to get more money if you start in the fall, usually, than if you start in the spring. So just be aware of that, right? So you might want to find out what the transfer deadline is for USC, for any of the schools you're looking at, and just put together a list so that you see what deadlines you're working off of. Okay. So very quickly, I've kind of alluded to it. The first term I want you guys to know is cost of attendance. That's the yearly cost to attend any college. That's an important term, cost of attendance, okay? Cost of attendance includes tuition, books, room, board, and personal expenses. That's a really important point. Sometimes when we talk about the college, we're only talking about the tuition. But if you're going to live on campus, or if you're going to have other expenses, then you have to include all these costs. So generally speaking, what I want you to do, unless you specifically have decided you're not going to do that, is you can actually plan to apply to these colleges and apply for financial aid with the intention to live on campus, unless you don't want to. The reason why is because the offer, what it costs you out of pocket, could be exactly the same. A lot of these awards, like I've shown you, have enough not just to cover the tuition, but to cover the room and board as well. Okay, so a little Price is Right very quickly with you guys. Anybody know the cost of attendance at USC? $70, $71, $72, $74. So imagine, kind of like I said, some people take one look at that and that's it, it's over. And I'm gonna show you in all this that you may not wanna do that. What about Berkeley? Can I get a 25? Can I get a 26, 15? 55. Okay, so for California, Berkeley is 33 per year. If you're not from California, it's about 55, okay? Because that's out-of-state tuition. Cal State LA, remember, we're talking about tuition, books, room, board, and personal expenses, okay? Because if you look at Berkeley, UCLA, tuition, the tuition would be about 16. It's the room and board also. Cal State LA, 30, close, 24. That's tuition, books, room and board, personal expenses, okay? If you're not from California, 33. And then what about University of Washington? Anybody know? It's kind of a trick question, right? Because if you're from Washington, it's 26, 27, but if you're not from there, it's 51, okay? You'll find that maybe some of you guys want to stay in California, you want to stay in Southern California, you want to stay local. Some of you guys want to go to New York and Chicago and Miami, and you could do either, actually. But when you're applying to a public school that's not in your state, you actually have to be careful because they will charge twice the price, and the public schools don't always have enough to make up for it. So those might be some of the stories that you're hearing. Hey, my friend, they got into University of Washington, it was way too expensive, and so they didn't go. So you might think that to mean that any of the colleges that charge around this are off limits, but that same student would have also applied to USC and got a completely different outcome. Okay, I'm just gonna go over this really quickly. The number one way that people pay for college, parents, families, is through student loans. Student loans is really expensive. The interest rates are ridiculous. And the quick answer to that is that you'll end up paying at least another year or 2 years just in interest if you take these loans out. The interest rates for the parents is about 7%. The interest rates for students is about 13%. those interest rates are really, really high. To give you an example, you can get a house for 4%, right? 4 or 5. So if you're getting an education that's $100,000 or $200,000 at 13%, you do not want to do that. Call me and I'll talk you out of it. And I'll find out another alternative for you. Okay. So I'll go over this. I'll go over this quickly. Like, basically, what happens is some people might get into Washington. It's a great school. And, obviously the first year it's 624. That's not bad. We could probably do that. But then the next year you have 2 loans. And then the next year you have 3 loans. And then the next year you have 4 loans. So you're paying $2,500 for a college cost, which is what a lot of people pay just to own a house, or, some of them less than that. Okay, so like I said, so in this situation, this person is paid back for a $205,000 education, they paid back $300,000. Oh, this is a meme I found on Instagram. Thank you for student loans for getting me through college. I don't think I can ever repay you. Yeah, it's real. You don't do that, okay? So what's the thing? So some people will say, all right, let me go to a college that has the least expensive cost of attendance. So that's going to be Cal State LA, right? And I'm just going to live at home and do a cash and carry kind of thing, pay for it as I go. That is the conventional way of doing this. The other way to do it is to find out exactly how much money each college is going to offer you, and you may find that that is actually the most expensive way, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about now. So how do you figure out, what your net is going to be and what your outcome is going to be? Very first, second number I want you to know, second term, is called your expected family contribution, your EFC. Everybody here has an EFC, and you need to know this number. This is an email that you get after you've applied for financial aid, your FAFSA and all that kind of stuff. It emails you this number. For this person, it's 4670. But you don't want to know this number once you've finally already turned in your FAFSA and seen the results, because by that time, it's really too late to get strategic. You can do some things, but you want to know your EFC as early as you possibly can. So let me review that. Your EFC is your expected family contribution. That number is the number that you send to colleges, and they use that number to figure out how much financial aid they want to offer you. Does that make sense? Okay, so you fill out your FAFSA. It says you can pay $1,000 a year. You can pay $20,000 a year. And then it gets sent to every college that you apply to. And then every college reads it and they say, okay, according to this, you can pay $15,000 a year. Our college cost $50,000 a year. You are expected to pay 15. We can't get to 15. We can get to 20. Someone will say, you know what? Yeah, we can get to 15. If that's what you're supposed to pay, we can get to 15. Someone will say, if you're expected to pay 15, we got some loans for you. But other than that there's really nothing else. And each college is going to be different. But you can find out what every college is going to offer you way before you apply. So those of you that are, maybe have 20 units or whatever, it's still not too late. It's still early and a good time for you to find out what your colleges are going to cost you right now, okay? By the way, with private schools, you can transfer. You don't need 6 units. You can transfer immediately. Yeah, in fact, you probably already got that email. So if you sent in a FAFSA to this college, you might want to go back in your past emails, and you got an email just like this. And that's good. It's good to know now, okay? All right, so that everybody has this, and you need to know what it is. You can check your email and see what it was. It does change every year, but you can check to see what it was last year, last year, or you can actually find it out by going to Google and typing in EFC Calculator, okay? So if you type in EFC Calculator, it's going to pull up a College Board website, and you can enter in some of your info, and it will tell you, okay, according to this, you're expected to pay $5,000 a year. You're expected to pay $7,500, all that kind of stuff, okay? ESC, everybody needs to know that. Okay, so it's kind of like I said, how financial aid works. You fill out financial aid forms like your FAFSA. There are other financial aid forms as well, but your FAFSA, you fill out your FAFSA. It calculates how much you're expected to pay each year for college. and you fill that out every year, and each college responds to that number, and they've tried their best to get as close to what you're expected to pay as possible. Okay? So your number, that's why I want you to know it. It can range from $0 to $1 shy of $1 million, $999,000. Okay? But that number, say your number is 6,000, 7,000, that number is the same at every college that you're applying to. Okay? But it doesn't mean that you pay the same at every college, because some colleges have money to get to that number and some colleges don't. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So like I said, you type in EFC Calculator and it pulls you up to this site. This is the College Board site. And it's going to have you answer all these questions. And at the end, it's going to give you your expected family contribution. Okay? Oops. So just so you know some of the top 6 factors, like you guys have filled out a FAFSA before. It looks at your parents' income and your parents' net worth if you're not an independent student. So usually if you're under 24 years old and you don't have any kids, the FAFSA will ask for your parents' financials. If you do, if you're over 24 and you have kids, then it may not. Okay, then it looks at yours, it looks at how many people in your household, and it looks at how many students are going to college. That's a really big thing that I'll point out to you right now. If you have, say for instance, if you're going to college right now and then you have an older brother or older sister or a younger brother, younger sister that's also going to be going to college, it may be that you both will qualify for more aid because your family has 2 kids going to college at the same time. Okay, so I do that a lot. It might be like a freshman, like a high school student that's applying, and then their older sister is also going to college. Now they both qualify for more aid. Okay, so you might want to know that as well, and encourage your kids to your siblings to apply. All right, so how do you know how much aid you're going to get? So this is the formula. Okay, whatever the school cost minus your expected family contribution equals how much money you need. Whatever the school cost minus your expected family contribution equals how much money you need. And there will be, each college will figure out how they can meet your need. So let me give you an example. Yeah, can we go up? So you just do this one right here. Yeah, so I'm all over today. Like that. You guys falling asleep on me. Okay. So, oops. Oh, okay. All right, here you go. So, this is the formula. Is that okay? Is that visible? Okay, good. All right. So say, for instance, we're looking at a college that's $72,000. And we're expected to pay $10,000. Again, what you're expected to pay, you need to find that out as soon as possible. Okay, that means you need $62,000. Okay? And all kinds of different schools will meet this need different. Some will meet 0. Some will meet all the way up to 100% of this number. Some will meet 92%. Some will meet 50%. So that's going to figure out what your financial aid is actually going to look like. Okay? So, obviously I'll show you, and, somebody's got to have a calculator handy if you can help me on this. Okay? So let's just say we're looking at a school that is 92% of need. Can somebody tell me 92% of 62? Anybody? I think I have my cell phone. 92% of 62. Ask Siri. It's 57.04. That means that this person at a school that meets 92% of need is going to get a $57,004 financial aid award. Okay? And they'll probably get, of this $57,000, they'll get 6,500 in subsidized and unsubsidized loans, and they'll get about 3,000 in work study. So that's 9,500 in money that they have to work for or borrow. The other 49,000 is going to be free money they don't have to pay back. Okay? How do you know that? I'm going to show you how you can like figure out all of these, but that's just how it works. So basically, that's how every college determines your financial aid award. They look at how much their school costs. They look at your family contribution. They look at how much you need. And they will say, okay, well, our school meets 75%. Our school meets 80%. Our school meets 100%. And from there, you get these awards, right? Great question. So you can go to one place you can go is college data, collegedata.com. And I'll show you how to do a net price. Okay, so let me show you one counter example. So in this situation, right, you needed 62,000, they gave you 57, so they fell $5,000 short, right? They fell $5,000 short. They didn't give you 62,000, they gave you 57. So you have to add that back to what you're expected to pay. And this is $15,000 per year. Can you see that? Okay, so this $72,000 college for someone that this family contribution is paying 15 grand a year. Okay? So then let's say we're looking at same family contribution. Let's say we're looking at a school that's $24,000 per year. This might be like maybe Cal State or Monterey Bay or something. Here you need, what, 14? And let's say school meets 50% of need. So they give you $7,000. They're going to give you the same $6,500 in subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And then they give you $500 in work study. Okay? And they're short 7,000, so that 7,000 gets added back. So did you see how the $72,000 college costs 14 grand, but the $24,000 college costs 17? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? But what happens? You see a $72,000 college, and you're like, no, there's no way. But actually ended up being the least expensive college for you. All right, so let's let that sink in for a while. Just put it back up. Yeah, school is charging 72 grand. Has the endowment money to get their costs down to whoever can get in there. And because there's so few people that are underrepresented are not even willing to apply, it becomes rare that someone who actually, represents a whole other group or comes from, a different background that even applies. So they come and they say, okay, hey, we have this, like very common, like, with some students, like all they're looking at is Cal State's UCs, sometimes just Cal State. So when you can get that student to actually apply to a private school like the Claremont colleges or Pomona or to, even USC or Occidental, they go, oh, wow, we got one. They qualify for 55 grand a year. I don't know who got them to apply. Maybe it was a guy named Trevor Ramos, but all right. We'll get them we'll get them as much money as we possibly can so they can say yes. But most people don't even apply. Okay, so I just kind of showed you, right? If a school costs 50 grand a year and you're expected to pay 10 grand, you need 40 grand. You don't always get that 40 grand though. Some colleges will give it to you, some colleges won't. If a school gives you 10 grand and you need 40 grand, that school is $30,000 short and it makes it to where it costs more. So I want to show you like a live example, one more that I'm working on. Okay, this is a student that just came to me actually recently, like last week. These are the schools he's looking at. There's more. I've hidden some schools. But you can see these schools like Boston University is $69,000. His family contribution is $5,500. He needs $64,000 to go to BU. BU gives him 92%. It's going to cost him $10,000 to go there. And then there are also transfer scholarships that he will be considered for. On the other end, here, obviously, USC is going to be the least expenses because they're going to meet 100% of need. Okay, and then the UCs, they're a little bit more expensive because, like UC Santa Barbara is meeting 82% of need. Does that make sense? So somebody asked me about percent of need and all that kind of stuff, so let's get to that. So the easiest way now to do that is to do a net price calculator. So all the colleges you're looking at, you do, you type in UCLA net price calculator, or this is UC Berkeley's net price calculator, and you go in there, and if you're over 24, you pick this one. If you're under 24, you pick that one. You click it, and you start entering it in, and it will give you an estimate of what UC Berkeley will cost your family, an estimate, okay? Every college is supposed to have this. They're all required to have it at least 3 years to date. So then if you fill this thing out, like this is Vanguard, it'll show you, okay, we charge $45,000, we expect you'll get the $17,000, you'll get $4,900, you'll get the Cal Grant, and the net cost will be $14,291. And if you also need some work study or some unsubsidized loans, we can offer that to you as well. So you can do this with every college that you're looking at, just for fun. And I just create spreadsheets. I already showed you a spreadsheet of what that looks like. And, that's kind of how it works. As you can see, most of the money comes from the college. You can look at Pepperdine, Pacific. I like private colleges. So you got the Pacific grant here. You got the Regents. You got the Deans. You got the UOP grant. You got these federal grants up here, totaling the $42,000 a year, 43 almost. Okay, you can look at liberal arts colleges too. A lot of liberal arts colleges don't often get a lot of transfer students. So that's always nice. This is Bard. And these colleges have so much money. These private colleges have a lot of money to offer. Everybody with me? Okay. So basically, whatever the school cost, that's your cost of attendance, minus your family contribution. You go online, you figure out EFC Calculator, you figure out yours. And then whatever the school costs minus your family contribution equals how much money you need. And then you can go and do a net price calculator and see how much of that need they're actually going to give you. And from that, you may find out that a private school can cost less than a state school or the same. Now, there are on your financial aid forms, which there's a limit to how many questions they can ask. For instance, on the FAFSA, it doesn't ask you if your family has other kids that they're paying high school tuition for. So there's just certain questions on the FAFSA that they should be asking, but they're not, right? So what you can do is you can write the school an appeal letter explaining any extenuating circumstances. So say, for instance, you guys had to move. Say, for instance, you had some medical expenses, or there's someone in your family that you're taking care of. You can write them, and they will also often increase your financial aid award because of these additional expenses that you told them about, okay? So basically, like, some financial aid forms are not built to understand your situation, so you actually have to write them and get the financial aid officer to use their professional judgment, right? So these are the reasons that they will typically accept. If your income has changed, if your parents are not working or they're earning a lower paying job, if they're divorced or separated, if you have medical or dental expenses, if you have younger siblings that are going to private school, or if you have one-time expenses or emergencies, or if there's a death in the family. And I would rather tell you to write them and tell them what's going on than to, if your situation doesn't meet exactly any of these criteria, to not try. Okay? Okay. So how are we doing on time? Pretty good, 6:15. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So I just want to show you one more thing. And sometimes there's some people that I will speak to, and their family contribution is like 50 grand a year. Like it's just really high for some kind of weird reason sometimes. Sometimes they do okay, so that's why they're expected to pay a lot. Sometimes it's just the way the questions are set up, it just doesn't, it means that they have to pay 40 grand a year, things like that. So what do you do in those situations? One of the things you can do is you can actually go to each school's website and see if they have academic scholarships that you can compete for. And you find out what the GPA requirement is and any extracurriculars that they require. And if they offer it to transfer students. So I'll give you one quick example. This one's for a freshman, and I'm going to go directly to a web page and show you. So for instance, like this is one for University of Pacific. This is for a high school student though. So it just says, hey, we want a 3.7 GPA. We want to see honors AP courses. We want to see leadership skills in 2 areas: student government, community service, local groups, like Phi Theta Kappa, any creative things. And we want to see these SAT scores. And if you got that, then you can compete for our $38,000 a year scholarship. And we don't care how much you make or what your family contribution is. We'll give it to you if you meet these criteria. So a lot of these schools, right on their website, if you go to their financial aid page and then you go to their scholarship page and you go to transfer scholarships, they will start to show you what their scholarships are that you can compete for. And often they may require an additional application. So I was just browsing around right before this, and I saw one that required an additional application for transfer students. So, yes, this is an example, say with BU, this is what I'm working on. So these are just for the transfer students. These are just academic scholarships. And they have this one that's 20 grand a year, requires a nomination for Phi Theta Kappa. By the way, like, if you might be looking at it as like, I'm not Phi Theta Kappa, I don't have the GPA to get that. It's all relative. You know, what it takes to get a scholarship academically to BU is different than what it takes to get a scholarship to Whittier College or to Woodbury College or to Pacific Lutheran, right? It's all relative, okay? We're not all applying to Stanford and Harvard, you know? Okay, so this is Pepperdine's page. I go to their university scholarships. And where did I find it? So you got to browse around a little bit and find it. But I found it here. And this is a transfer student academic scholarship that you actually have to turn an application for. And they say students who receive this scholarship must maintain a 3.25. Let's see, does it tell you exactly what the GPA is? It just says Pepperdine students usually meet the highest academic profiles for transfer applicants with less than 30 completed college units at the time of application. This includes grade point average. Okay, so this one doesn't tell you exactly what GPA they need, but you can fill it out. And you fill out, there's an essay to be considered for this transfer scholarship. There's a resume that you upload and you submit. And now you're being considered for just scholarships based on your grades, not even based on your income and your assets. Do the one on the EFC, that kind of scholarship stuff that I showed you first. Do that, and then you can start to look at this kind of stuff. All right. So I think, I think I'll give you one more, and then we'll wrap it up at that. If you live on campus and you become an RA, you can actually get your housing waived at some of these colleges. Housing ranges between $10,000 to $15,000 a year, right? So what you do is usually you have to live on campus at least 1 year, and then you will apply, like as soon as you get there, say you start college next year in fall, like in September, right around November, there's gonna be an interview process to be an RA, which is to be the person on the floor that the freshmen and the sophomores come to if they, need someone to whatever housing issues they have. And that person gets their housing for free, right? You just got to remember that deadline. All right. So that's all I got, you guys. If you guys have any questions or any specific stuff, let me know. But yeah, I mean, you can go to these super expensive colleges and get a lot of money to go wherever you want to go. If you want to stay in the state, if you want to stay in SoCal, or if you want to go to the East Coast and all that kind of stuff, right? So your first to do, I can get you guys a copy of my book, How to Get Free Money for College. And it's going to also show you kind of step by step how to go through this process. Also, yeah, if you want to take a picture, that's fine. All right, so you want to read How to Get Free Money for College. I have a cheat sheet that I can email you guys from this talk, so you can just kind of get the bullet points. You want to look up the cost of attendance of all the colleges you're looking at. You want to find out your expected family contribution. And then you want to run a net price calculator on all the colleges on your list so you can see what their offers are going to look like. Okay, then you can go to the college's websites and look for their academic scholarships or their transfer scholarships. And after all that, you can look at private scholarships, which that's the icing on the cake. That's not the first place that you want to start. You can end up wasting a lot of time going to bookstores and finding a phone book of private scholarships. And they end up being like $4,000 or $5,000 one time. And you have to apply to like 40, 50 of them just to get it. Meanwhile, I'm showing you how to get $62,000 directly from the college, right? So you want to go through those, these to-dos. All right, yeah, and if you have any questions, I can talk to you as well. So I work with transfer students and I work with high school students, and I show them how to get the money this way. If you want that, you can just go ahead and fill out your evaluation form, and you'll mark whether you want a copy of the book or if you want to chat with us. And you just turn your evaluation form to that table, and we'll put it, when I get back to the office, I'll have them send out to you a copy of the book, cheat sheet, and set up a time to reach out to you as well. All right, you guys, that's all I got. Thanks.